Welcome, everybody, to episode 186 of The China Show.
What a good number that is. It's actually part of my channel name, Lawai86.
Interesting that.
Yeah.
We welcome you today. We've got quite a lot of things to talk about. We've got some funny stuff. We've got some dour stuff. A lot of things in between. Maybe we should start with this little clip before we saunter into anything. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll give you a little taste of what's to come. The Big B man.
Yeah, here's Joe Biden. Love him or hate him. At least he's standing on his own 2 feet still. Let's see what he has to say.
And after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that you used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours. Anyway, he makes that.
Anyway, yes.
We will get into that.
We will get into that, but, you know, there's a lot behind what he said. We'll discuss it later, but of course we got to talk about the China side of things, what's going on in China, how people are reacting to this sort of thing, and everything leading up to it.
Yeah, for sure. There's all kinds of nuances at play here, and I would like to start this by saying we are never really psyched about talking about world leaders meeting each other. It's like the most boring thing in the entire world.
Don't worry, this is an exciting episode.
This is an exciting episode, I promise you. I'm not trying to caveat this. I'm just saying this is not like, and then he sipped his cup twice, which indicated, you know, that kind of stuff. A lot of people talk about that kind of stuff.
Isn't that weird?
We're going to do important stuff.
Yes. Okay, so let's saunter right into it with what's new. And now we're going to talk about what's new in China, basically. And... Well, we've got a couple of clips for you just to kind of lighten the mood, and we're going to start out with this. And what you're seeing behind us is live entertainment in a rural Chinese village. Okay?
Yes, let's see.
Now, I would like everybody to particularly pay attention to the music.
Get your hair out.
If you have ever been in China and you've gone to, like, just a little bit outside the posh areas of the city, and you go to any kind of bar or club type thing, this is the one music track.
the
one that they play
music track.
On repeat. And they might add like different vocals or different things occasionally, but it's this one track. So let's listen to, I'm going to get us out of here so you can see what's going on here. Let's do it.
Turn that down. Dude, you just rapé.
People got to, okay, I'll bring it down a little bit. I think people have to get the full experience though. This poor guy.
Bring it down, we'll do it again.
We'll do it one more time, okay.
This is such a scene, by the way, in China. Is it not so indicative of so many things that we saw around China?
Yes, it's hilarious.
Yes.
I am so impressed that he could still continue singing.
Very metal.
When he was that dizzy.
Yes.
He's that dizzy that he not only fell over, but his legs went like over his head.
Can you play it with no volume?
With no volume?
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose so. Let's try. Okay, that should be muted.
Tell me, if you were to watch this without that context, like without what you just showed, don't you think it would be something like this? Go ahead.
Okay.
You know, like heavy metal, like something like that, right?
Yeah.
But it's not. It's like
techno.
The cheesiest, crappiest, happy hardcore rural Chinese techno.
Yes.
Which is such a vibe.
Yeah, it's amazing.
If you've been in China, you'll know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now we're going to move on from this. We've got another clip for you. This one I thought was hilarious. Okay, so just to give you context, there's an old man walking into a toilet and someone's confronting him, right?
Hold on.
What?
Let's just point out what that character means on the wall.
It means woman.
Yes, so
Or
he's
female.
walking into the women's bathroom.
Yeah, not only the women's, but like the way that the picture, it kind of looks like a kid's.
Yeah, like a little girl's bathroom.
Girl's bathroom. It kind of looks like
a kindergarten or something.
So someone shouts at him like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, as you would.
He's like, "Hey, like, what are you doing, you old man? Like, stop walking into the girls'
Get
bathroom.
out of here."
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "Get out!"
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
For me, get out of there.
Yeah. The guy just ignores him.
This guy's very frustrated because he's trying to do the right thing and get this old man out of there.
Yeah, he's like, what is this old pervert walking into this like girl's bathroom or whatever?
Yeah.
He's trying to do the right thing. Gets ignored. He walks in.
He goes, oh,
And he's like, oh,
snap.
because, yeah.
Snap. They're actually building the toilet.
Yeah, they're actually the construction workers redoing the interior of the toilet or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of funny.
I like that one.
yeah,
That was
yeah.
funny.
Now this is in Guangzhou. You can, well, we looked at it earlier and we just saw the signs and the.
It opened up our eyes, but we saw the signs and we knew
Yeah.
that it was Guangzhou, which is near where we used to live.
Yeah.
And oftentimes you'll see this bizarre dichotomy of skyscrapers, Ferraris, and then some guy doing this because the wealth gap in China is shocking.
Yeah.
But the people still go to the cities to try to make some money.
So what this guy's doing is he's transporting. It's hard to say what he's transporting, but quite often they transport things like styrofoam or cotton or something that's not very heavy, but it's
Rice
you know,
crackers, you get those giant sacks of
Sure,
those.
sure. Whatever he's transporting, it's very big in volume.
Probably cotton or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. Wrapped up. Now this looks kind of normal, but he's kind of like skating down the road on
Looks
his little
mad
trolley.
fun.
Okay, but see how it progresses here. It's like a whole train of these things, basically, of these little trolleys.
这太厉害了，
Daily
这
Highland.
这个真厉害，这个好快啊！
I mean,
That is epic.
it's pretty epic.
And these are on swivel wheels, which
Yes,
you
like
know
trolley
when
wheels.
an errant grocery cart gets out of control. When one wheel's kind of out of whack, you know what happens to the steering. This
Yeah.
guy's relying on 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 20, 26 wheels. One of those goes askew. You're tumbling.
Absolutely.
Love it.
I would like to also point out, you see on the sign up there, it says Dongguan Shenzhen.
Yeah.
That's the highway on-ramp to those places. And yeah, I've been exactly here. You've been exactly here. We've driven
Yep.
through here so many times.
Guangzhou.
When you drive on Chinese roads, this is the kind of random stuff that you come across as well. So it's very chaotic,
Yeah.
to say the least.
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, it's just nice to see a little clip of, someone isolated where you can pay attention to it.
Oh, you know what we forgot to pay attention to is hang on, let's go back.
Shoes?
The sky.
Oh, look the sky.
Yeah, it looks up.
Looks up.
Just remember the sky. Always look at the sky in these clips because these are real clips from China, you know. And
We actually wanted to start something. You did come up with a very clever, catchy name. What was it?
looks up.
No, there was like a hashtag you were going to do. It was like the sky doesn't lie.
Yes, that's
Yes.
right. Hashtag sky
So
doesn't
we're going
lie.
to try to make sky doesn't lie a hashtag.
Yeah.
So hashtag the sky doesn't lie is whenever you see a clip in China and they're trying to make it look amazing, but you always look at the sky and you'll always see that it's polluted.
Yeah.
Because they'll be like, oh, we're the, look
We're
at
the green
technology leader, and they'll
yeah.
show something related to like being environmentally friendly, but the sky doesn't lie.
Yeah.
So hashtag the sky doesn't lie.
Oh, I got this amazing clip. I'm releasing a video tomorrow of these barges going down the river, and one of them crashes into a bridge. But in the distance, you see a wind turbine. But it's so polluted, you can barely see the wind turbine. It's like,
It's hilarious.
What?
There has been instances where the maintenance schedule has to be upped, like pushed forward because of coal smoke and the coal particulates getting inside of windmills and actually destroying the bearings and
that
stuff.
makes sense. Yeah,
It's
it
just
makes
so
sense.
funny to me.
Yeah.
It's like you're wisping around, you're like stirring coal smoke.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what it is. All right, let's see what our next little clip here is. This
这太厉害了。
Marmalade skies.
yeah, this poor guy just bought brand new shoes.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah, see,
穿上这个，
新买的鞋。
Oh.
才刚
新买的鞋。
有两步道，你看这家他妈掉渣儿，这地掉全渣子。
Hello and
You really didn't put
Okay.
any buffer in
No,
that
there's
one.
no buffer. All right, so we got a treat for you today, guys. We got a real treat. Chinese propaganda never fails to impress us with its absolute lunacy.
This one is so good. Sometimes, and I'd like to preface this to our old fans by saying sometimes we're worried that China is going to stop making bad, terrible, laughable propaganda because they are getting better at
They're
it.
getting better.
But on their old, like when I say old, their big main kind of like bread and butter platforms like China Daily and Xinhua, like the ones that have always been around since Mao's time,
Yeah.
those ones never fail to
Oh,
stop
absolutely.
bringing us the most amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And this is up there with some of the most ridiculous things we've ever seen.
It's amazing. So let's let's just preface this. By the way, I want to give a shout out to YGZ Taiwan, who brought this video clip to our attention, because you got to dig deep to find these sometimes.
Yes.
So big shout out to him. Now, guys, let's take a look at the beginning of
这他
this.
妈掉渣
Never
儿，
mind
这
that.
地掉全渣了。
Hello and welcome to an episode of Potside Chats where we talk all things China. Hello and welcome to an episode of Potside Chats, and today
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Pot side chat. What could that even mean? Like, is with toilet jokes aside,
Yeah.
what could that even mean?
Yeah, for those of you who don't notice, I put in the little pot
Yes.
side. I couldn't
For those
help
listeners
myself.
at
Yeah.
home. Yeah.
So obviously, one of the big things about foreigners when they go to China is hot pot.
Oh, you think it's that?
So I think it's the idea that you're all sitting around having hot pot or maybe a pot of tea or something, and so you're next to the pot and you're chatting, right?
That's so lame.
That's
It
what I'm
sounds
guessing.
like a toilet. I would hazard a guess that if you were to say, let's have a pot side chat, people would not think about having hot pot. That's not where your mind goes.
No. So I mean, you guys, you opened yourself up to that one. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. If you're going to call your series pot side chats, from now on it means next to the toilet.
I
chats.
can promise you those English-speaking hosts did not come up with that name.
No, they didn't.
It's definitely the state media
Yeah.
staff.
Anyway, let me just
The
get
pot side, like 420 devil's lettuce.
Yeah, that
chats.
kind of maybe that kind of pot.
Weed side.
Now, the thing we got to put out here is you have to see the false enthusiasm they have.
Yeah, I
here.
love it. So bubbly.
Yeah, let's take a look at what this is all about.
to an episode of Potside Chats, and today I am ultra excited because we are playing a board game, which is literally one of my favorite things to do.
Yes, and joining us is CC Liu, financial expert.
I'm still in there.
Thanks for coming on the show. This must be the most unique video that you've been a part of so far. Please tell me yes.
Yes, of course.
Great.
Thank you for having me, guys. Really excited to play this board game to demonstrate some financial concepts.
Ooh.
Okay, can I say what this is
Yeah.
real quick? You guys know what the Belt and Road Initiative is? It's this idea, basically, very abbreviated version, that China goes to developing countries, invests in their infrastructure, and then that country owes them something. It's literally modern day imperialism and colonialism.
And then they can take over when they default on the debts,
Yeah.
they can take over the ports, the
Yes.
airports, things like that. That
That's
now
why it's
belong
called
to China.
That's why it's called debt trap diplomacy.
Yeah.
And a lot of countries have been pulling out. In fact, I covered that in my economy video. Tons of countries are backing out, right?
There's yet to really be. Has there been any success stories out of the BRI?
Almost none, right? You'll have the odd project here or there that wasn't there before.
Yeah,
but
like a bridge or something.
But that's not, they don't talk about the financial impact afterwards and the potential defaults,
And
right?
the impact on the environment and the fact that the locals didn't actually get jobs because they imported all the workers from China and stuff. Yeah.
You don't really get to help a local economy when the infrastructure project that you promised jobs to local people doesn't exist because you brought in your own workers.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, we could go on forever about the BRI, but
just so
yeah.
you understand. Now imagine that all this negative press, including the video I put out, that kind of stuff, is coming out about the BRI. All these people and journalists and stuff, investigative journalists, are talking about, wait, this is not what they originally promised. In fact, it's gotten so bad that, this is Xi Jinping's idea, right?
Yeah.
It's gotten so bad that he's had to say, oh, this is getting kind of complex. They never do anything negative. That's tantamount to disaster.
Yeah, if you say it's complex.
So they make this knee-jerk propaganda. And in this particular clip, they invented a Belt and Road Initiative board game. And it's not even something you can buy. They made it for this clip, which
must
got
have, yeah.
200 views.
That's the best part is their video that's been out for weeks now. It got like 200 views.
Look at this.
Yeah. Anyway, let's take a look because this is they're being serious here. They really want you to think this is fantastic. So
Yes.
let's watch.
Excellent. So, to celebrate 10 years of the Belt and Road Initiative, we are playing Bridging Borders and Beyond. And of course, Belt and Road Initiative is modeled after the ancient Eurasian Silk Road, which traded culture, goods, ideas for centuries.
Yes, but in the modern era, we have Silk Road Economic Belt, which covers routes through road and rail. And we also have the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, which is routes by sea.
Great.
The objective of this board game is trying to build together, to build as many as public goods as possible.
As our guest, why don't you go first?
Yeah.
This is
Yay.
highly regarded as a great board game.
It's a great board game. Well, let's see. What do you think happens in this board game?
I can already tell you that nothing of substance can happen in this board game because in watching this clip, which I did once, they literally are just making shit up as they go along.
I feel like that's what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. This, by the way, official Chinese state media put this out.
Yes.
China
Top,
Daily.
top,
China Daily
top,
put
top,
this out.
top.
Okay, so this has got a big budget. You know, these are their foreign hosts that do lots of other shows for them.
We can only estimate, let's say this cost them $10,000 to put together without corruption involved.
Sure.
So probably a lot more.
Anyway, it's just this is the height of Chinese propaganda right now.
Yes.
Let's take a quick look. All right.
I think I'm the boat.
Yep.
May I have the boat?
Yep.
And then can you please give me 2 steps?
2, okay. So 1, 2, that's a funding card.
Oh,
So
wow.
Funding card here.
Collect 100 to invest resource.
Amazing. What resource would you like to invest in with your 100?
It's not a lot of money, but I
This
would
is
like
terrible.
to stretch my dollar.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick a bridge.
Okay.
I'm gonna pick a railway.
Okay.
Okay.
Guys, you have to understand something.
Yeah.
This is all of China's propaganda talking points about how they succeed in helping poor countries around the world. And again, these are not debt-free loans. These are like super high interest loans
Yes.
that these countries can't pay back, and they always use bridges and planting
Railways.
trees and railways, and they have them as actual cards.
I mean, if I was a stickler for the rules, I'd say surely there's a price for each of these. But she's like, I got 100, so I'm just going to take this and this.
Because it's made up.
Yeah, it's just made up, right? It's just nonsense. Okay, let's see what happens next. I'm riveted now.
Gotta give it back to the bank.
So as you can see, these mega projects are extremely expensive. So
Yeah, $100. What?
This is literally counter propaganda to the critics that are exposing all of the failures of the BRI. I'm not even joking. That's the only reason they made this.
Yeah. So let's see. In the
in
developing part of the world.
part of the world, the government itself may not necessarily can afford it. And unlike in the developed countries where you have a commercial banks or other investment, so basically they're just too risky for the investors or lenders to be part of it. So the real question is, who is providing the finance?
And we'll find out
We will.
more as we play on.
Man, I kind of feel bad for the hosts.
Yeah.
Because, imagine you get no brief ahead of time, and they're like, we're going to have you play a board game today, and you have to sit there and feign enthusiasm for this absolute nonsense cover-up.
Well, remember, whoever this young lady's name is, she in the beginning said she's so excited. This is
Yeah, I know.
one of her favorite things to do.
She knows her job.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
She's getting pumped up.
Yeah. By the way, this whole idea of China lending money to developing countries, right? China is a developing country, at least on paper.
According to them.
Yes, on paper. So they can get all those trade deals and tax breaks and stuff.
In fact, Xi Jinping said in his APEC speech, China is the world's largest developing country. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Probably stop doing space missions.
Yeah, that's the thing. Developing country with a space program.
Oh, if you're a
and
developing
like,
country, then why are you giving trillions of dollars
in
of
loans
out?
Yeah, it's kind of lame. Anyway, let's see, because we got to find out, you know.
Nathan,
my turn.
it's you.
Okay, so let's roll. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, railway.
The rail is 20.
Yes, I'll buy 2.
Oh, so there was a price.
There was.
Yeah,
Ooh.
so he's going to buy 2 railways.
All right.
There you go.
There you go.
Can I ask you a question? Do
Yeah.
you think that I don't mean to pause so much. Do you think that they should actually be rattling off some of China's success story facts every time that they put an infrastructure project down?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do.
2. This actually reminds me of the Carter Bandung.
So wait, buying 2 cards of railway actually reminds him
No,
of...
this jogs my memory real
Yeah,
quick. Do
yeah.
you remember when China went to the Jakarta Boondarg Railway?
Railway, which went into operation recently, and that is 142 kilometers of rail that connects the 2 cities. And the previous distance to travel.
So wait, these 2 cards reminded him of 142 kilometers of rail. Okay.
Do you know what this reminds me of? You know that meme of that boy that's like And he's got the veins sticking out.
Yes.
And it's like, this should be like, China, it should say like, China trying not to make propaganda in video for 1 minute.
Yeah, exactly.
That's 3 hours.
Oh, man.
Now, thanks to the high-speed rail, it's down to 40 minutes. Isn't
This
that
guy
impressive?
doesn't give
Wow.
I love a high-speed rail.
shit.
Woo, 6!
We're trying to figure out his watch because we like watches.
Oh, yeah.
Can any watch spotters in here try to figure out his watch? Let us know in the chat.
Now she's got the little scooter. I wonder what she's going to do. Let's see.
My little scooter. 6 bridges. I would love to invest in a bridge. I think I'll do 1 for now.
Okay, you want a bridge?
Yes, please.
There you go.
How do you
When
win this game? Well, we'll find out.
It's when you collect all the debt and steal the ports and stuff from all the other
And then you
players.
get little army men to go and take over the whole map.
Probably, yeah. Oh, and suddenly, when I think of BRI bridges, just randomly, it's strange that she didn't do rail as well.
Yeah.
Because I guess they have to cover all the bases, right?
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. So okay, when I think of BRI, what do you have to
I
say?
think of BRI bridges, I think of the Prljasak Bridge in Croatia, which connects the mainland to the peninsula. And we're cutting travel time. Talk about it from 2 to 3 hours to 2 to 3 minutes.
Wow.
So obviously it's going to inject a lot of economic development into the area, but it was also the first and largest project funded by the EU into a Chinese company.
So it's not even BRI.
No.
They claim that bridge. Remember
did.
that
We
horrible?
caught 'em.
Yeah, remember that horrible like earthquake and that happened like a few hundred kilometers away.
Yeah.
And China was like, the China built bridge survived. See how strong it is, but it was very far away.
In all the propaganda and all the shills and stuff, what they were doing with this bridge is saying that it was the Chinese government that actually had sponsored this, almost as like the way
BRI.
that it was not just framed as that; it was also framed as like a donation in a way, you know.
And by the way, that had
You built
nothing
it.
to do with the BRI.
No.
Like European Union taxpayers paid
Yes.
for this bridge, and they basically put out a tender to say which company can build this bridge, and the Chinese company undercut everyone so vastly that they won the contract to build it.
Yes.
So they were paid by EU taxpayers' money, and they built this bridge, but it's got nothing to do with the BRI. It's got nothing to do with the Chinese government. It's nonsense. But they try to see how they try to conflate that. Because remember, she said, thinking of BRI bridges, and then she talks about something that's completely not. Nonsense. Let's see what happens next.
My turn again.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Trivia card.
Ooh, a trivia card. Ding. Do you think there's actually anything printed on that? I feel like it's blank. I feel like they're all blank. Come on.
Yeah, they're just reading a teleprompter.
Yeah, it's got to be blank. Let's see.
Okay, what is the question?
Oh, we could have probably seen that.
Address the BRI debt trap or pay 200.
Do you want to pay 2?
So, you better address that.
So
that
remember
falsehood.
you remember when I said this is counter propaganda? And this is a thinly veiled attempt to say, no, BRI is good. It's not bad, and it's not a debt trap. And it took them only about 3 minutes to get it. To get
well,
to
I
that.
like the fact that you have to debunk basically this debt trap allegation, or you get fined 200.
I think that is not just an allegation; that is a truth, and I will not withdraw that.
Oh, you mean which one?
Because all I hear from her,
is a good old. Here it comes. Good old. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's get back into it. So we are dealing with this ridiculous situation. How is she going to address this debt trap?
let's see.
Okay.
200.
I mean, these allegations. These allegations.
Yes.
Can you answer the question?
I don't want to pay money. Let me try to answer this question. Debt trap is referred to a creditor extend credit to exchange for political influence. China actually holds 11.6% of the total US foreign debt. In Africa, China holds 10% of Kenya's debt and only 3 to 4% from Nigeria. So clearly, China doesn't just lending money to poor region of the world. The next question
Said nothing.
The hell was that?
Didn't answer anything.
Yeah.
To hell with you.
Yeah, exactly. But we got
Sorry,
to address.
I withdraw that. I withdraw. I withdraw that. I
Okay.
withdraw that. Sorry.
Are you sure? Because I'm.
I withdraw.
To hell with you. I withdraw that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I withdraw.
Honorable
Oh, Willie.
Okay. Anyway, seriously though, That did not debunk the
People are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
They don't know what I mean. She didn't say anything.
It's like the debt trap allegations. What do you have to say? Well, America got some debt from China, and so did Kenya and Nigeria. Some percentage here and there. What the hell does that have to do with debt traps? You know?
I saw in the news that you were guilty of Grand Theft Auto last week. Well, clearly not, because last week I also drank coffee.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's nothing to do with it.
So she didn't say anything.
She also didn't talk about any of the alleged countries that are in a
Yes,
debt
that are in
like
debt trap.
Sri Lanka.
Yeah, I think that's quite an interesting dodge that she's trying to say, like, well, we don't only debt trap like poor countries, we also debt trap big countries like America and Kenya and Nairobi. That's kind of what she said, right? Well, you know, America owes us money and this and that, so it's not just
that.
Yeah, it's like we debt trap everyone. Like, come on, that was lame. Let's see what a lame.
Incredible.
Would you ever sit down and play this board game?
It doesn't exist.
No, but if it did.
No.
Because it obviously does. And they were mad excited to sit down and play this. Look.
Well, the one copy exists.
Yeah.
Let's
Is a lot of people, critics, say the investment trying to trap the country because they are not able to pay back, the projects may not be successful, but often they ignored the economic externality. Okay, you can build the roads and the tolls you collect may not justify for the investment, right? It's not profitable initially. It connects people together, it connects the region, it creates development, and ultimately increase tax revenue for the government so they can be self-sustainable economically. And then matter of fact, there's an organization called Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank. So not only
I have a lot to say about that.
Very much needed funding for these
Keep an eye on this AIIB.
Definitely keep an eye on it.
It's a bunch of nonsense.
To join the investment. So that, the impact can be greater.
So I like what she said
more
there, by the way.
collaboration, and just benefit.
My favorite thing is that she said, some people say that this is trapping countries because basically these projects are not successful and not profitable initially, right? If they're not successful, then that means they failed. I mean, there's entire projects that haven't even been completed and then they leave.
Yeah.
Right? And then she goes on to say, well, but that's fine because later on it'll be better. Later on, these things will bring tax revenue and stuff. What are you talking about? These projects failed. A failure is a failure. It's not like we succeeded and maybe later it'll be okay. No, they stopped.
If you look into the BRI, you're very hard pressed to find any successes.
Yeah.
A lot of countries defaults on the debts and then they have to give up their land or whatever to China, or they're just fiercely in debt. A lot of the projects have got very poor quality and are breaking and cracking apart before they're even completed.
Yeah.
For everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, you answered the question. That was a good answer.
I'm glad that went to the financial expert.
Yeah, indeed. But it's my turn.
Go for it.
Oh,
All right.
2, 1, 2. How much is a road?
10.
I'll buy a road. Okay. Ooh, I'll take a road. Nothing specific comes to mind.
Oh.
Nothing specific. Do you think? Yeah, you think
It seems
really?
like he must come up with something, though.
Yeah, it's like nothing specific comes to mind, and you've probably got someone behind the camera glaring, like, tell them something about BRI. You better say it. It's like, let's see. Yeah.
But roads are really the lifeline of any country, the internal mechanism in which people connect and things happen. So, for example, through the BRI, China has built 6,000 kilometers of road in Africa.
So I guess he did.
Very
Something
specific.
did come to mind. Very specific. An amount of kilometers of road built in Africa.
Wow.
It's a
It's
great
impressive.
benefit.
It's
a great benefit.
impressive. Absolutely.
Okay, your turn.
Woo, okay. Let's go, little scooter. Dun, dun. Ports, our first port.
Yeah, do you want to invest in
I
ports?
do. I
Military
think I'm
ports.
going to take two
I'm going to take 2
ports.
ports. That's
Yeah.
the first honest thing they've said the whole
Yes,
time.
exactly. Oh yeah.
Ports, BRI ports. I'm thinking Gwadar Port in Pakistan.
Bad example.
It
Wow,
is
what a
part
failure
of the
story.
China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is one of the largest projects under the Belt and Road Initiative. And they are likening it to the next Shenzhen. So
No, it's
Shenzhen,
not.
a few decades back, was this semi-abandoned, sleepy port city. And so what they're hoping with Gwadar, with all of this investment, is to transform it into the technological, innovative hub with a lot of younger entrepreneurs.
It can't
You
happen.
have to be a psychopath to write a script that uses Gwadar Port as a positive example. All you have to do after the show, if you're interested in the BRI, Google Guadar Port and see what kind of troubles that they face. It is such a failure.
This idea of changing a place like that into Shenzhen is nonsense. The only reason why Shenzhen, and to be honest, China became successful financially is because of its proximity to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Hong Kong being this massive international financial
Pakistan
hub.
is not.
Yeah, with
It's just not.
immediate inroads to the rest of the world. So when people wanted to invest in mainland China, it was very easy because they already could, through the conduit of Hong Kong, set up companies and invest directly in the mainland. And of course, China could do it vice versa. They could list things on the stock exchange in Hong Kong. So the whole reason that Shenzhen grew up into this massive, amazing city, because it was next to one of the richest countries in the world, Hong Kong.
China has done this so many times with failed ports. I think one comes to mind, actually.
Oh, yeah, this one.
Port of Dandong.
Yeah.
Boy, that is a good example of how many times they tried to push that for about 10 years.
Yeah.
The port of Dandong. They ran that commercial every 10 seconds.
If you're in China, you will know that advert. Yeah. Let's see where this goes. I'm curious.
So it's really coming a long way. Cece, your
My
roll.
turn. Okay, wow, it's a tree.
Critical fail.
So
You want
much.
some trees?
Oh yes, I actually
How
have
many
to buy
how
some.
many do you want?
I would like to buy 3.
3 trees.
trees.
Okay.
I believe.
Ooh,
Trees
and
5.
what does that activate?
Ooh, it activates our climate meter.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything?
They just added a little functionality to this bullshit board game.
So anyone buys trees and then
Yeah.
suddenly the climate meter, which only has what, like
Five squares.
five squares. What does that prove?
We're about to find out because the culmination of all this is at the end. We'll see who wins. Who do you think's going to win?
We'll see. But
Hold on. I'm going to poll everyone.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Let's do a poll.
start a
Who's going to
poll.
win? The fact that they had to cover every propaganda talking point in this
Yes.
board game is ridiculous. And now they're moving on to green initiatives, right? They've done railways. They've done.
American woman, Chinese woman, and British man.
Yes.
Because I forgot their names.
That's
works.
about correct. Yeah. Who's going to win?
Who's going to win, guys? Place your bets. Roll those dice. Let's
Exactly.
see who's going to win. The poll is up. Who will win?
So anyway, let's see what they say about the green initiatives.
We have Chinese woman coming out of the gate here. Really fast. Overtaking.
That's right. The
Yeah.
climate change is so critical. So in fact,
What is
The sky don't lie.
what is that hashtag? The sky don't lie.
Yeah, hashtag the sky don't lie.
organization like the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank
interesting.
actually
That's
set
another little
very
drop on that.
ambitious goals. They're trying to achieve 50% of their financing going towards climate change related project by 25.
That's fantastic.
50%.
50%.
That's significant.
Yes, yes. He's like, oh, that's very impressive. You know, she's talking about an investment bank's goals.
Yes.
It's not interesting
I
or
can't
impressive.
even pay attention to
It's
that.
like a freaking. This investment bank's goals have nothing to do with reality.
This sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, so the poll has been up for just a short time, and we've already got an overwhelming win with Chinese women coming in first place, not closely at all, followed by American woman with a clear loss to British man.
Yeah, poor British
So
man.
we'll find out. I'm going to end the poll here. You guys, hopefully you voted. We're going to find out who wins this amazing board
This guy's
game.
just can't wait to collect his paycheck to hit the pub after this. I'm telling you.
Or buy a new Casio or whatever.
Yeah, let's see.
Chinese watch.
Yeah.
Let's see. So what I've got? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, trivia.
Oh. All right. Are you going to answer it as well as Cece did?
Name one eco-friendly BRI project to win 100. Can I do it?
Imagine your friends come over, right?
Yeah.
And you go, guys. I know you came over to watch the Eagles game, right? And I know you guys are excited.
Game night.
But I just want to try something new, and you bust out the BRI board game.
It's like you misunderstood me when I said game night. I
Yeah.
meant board game night. You know what I mean? It's like sitting there.
In the worst board game ever.
Whip it out. Like, name a eco-friendly BRI. Well, look at him. He's like, Look at his face. He's like, what did they tell me to say again?
That's a meme of notes. Look at that.
It's the fakest, like, I'm thinking about something I already know. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, see what he has to say.
Okay, what about the Hualong number 1, which is the culmination of China's mastery of third generation nuclear power? The Hualong number 1, there's a nuclear power station in Pakistan, and that generates 10 billion kilowatts per hour.
I know. The first thing that. What?
overseas.
I got to say, the first thing that comes to my mind when I'm thinking of environmentally friendly projects is nuclear reactors.
Hey, nuclear.
I know nuclear is great.
Yeah.
I think it's great, but it's not what would first come to
No,
mind.
this is not what it doesn't pop into mind.
No.
Electricity, and that provides electricity to 1
Totally not scripted.
million people
Yes.
every year.
Okay, my turn.
I like how it's like, it gives all the stats.
They have to tick all the boxes.
You
don't
know,
they?
like if the question is name one project, you could say, the Hualong Wang, and then move on.
Yeah.
But no, it's the Hualong, and it provides
It's
this
the
amount of
culmination.
electricity to X amount of billion kilowatts per hour. Bullshit, you know. Anyway, what's next?
This is so
Yeah,
bad.
yeah.
Green investment.
How many do you want?
Let's see here. Climate meter. 2 more spaces. I will do 2 trees.
2 trees.
2 trees, please.
I think within the course of the show, us and our audience could come up with a much more exciting board game.
I think they could
have it. Not only could we come up with it, we could have it printed and ready to go by the end. We could print it out and actually play a better board game.
I absolutely agree. To make it even more simple, though, I think our audience could come up with a more robust, a rule set for this game.
For this actual game.
Oh my god!
Exactly.
And we fixed the environment.
It was just that easy. For
Who would have
green
thought?
initiatives, I think I'm going to take us across the globe to Chile, where they are looking to reach their own carbon neutrality goals by electrifying their public transit. So the buses and EVs are manufactured in China, and of course there are going to be environmental
Is Chile part of the Belt and Road Initiative?
Yeah, in some ways.
What a pity.
concerns with any large-scale infrastructure project, and those 100% need to be addressed, and taking some of the best practices and transferring those into new projects is a good place to start.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So we count the public goods.
We
right?
count up our public goods.
Okay, so I've invested in 2 high-speed rails.
So hang on a second. They didn't reach the end of the board or anything. It's just like, okay, this guy, look at him.
You
He's
know
like,
what the end of the game
I
was?
need a pint. He's like, I've had
He's
enough.
pint man.
I'm like, this is enough of this
He's pint
shit.
man.
You can tell. He's just,
Yes.
I have had enough of this bullshit BRI board game. I want out of here.
You know
it's
he's gonna go to
now
the
we
pub.
count the public, what?
And then he's going to the bartender and be like, you have no fucking idea what I had to
It's like,
do
yeah,
today.
yeah, exactly.
Oh my, what a wanker
He's
company.
like, bloody trees and roads and bridges and, ports and, the bollocks, this guy. Anyway, let's... so anyway, he's like, I'm done. He's like, now we count the public goods, do we?
And some road infrastructure.
Okay, I got trees, ports, and a bridge. Cece?
Big
I
spender.
got trees and 2 infrastructure.
Oh, we love that.
Wow.
Who won?
We all win because the Belt and Road Initiative is about a shared future for mankind.
Cece, any
Oh my gosh, please play that clip again.
Okay, all right.
Oh, that is, oh, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Wow.
Love that.
Wow.
Who won?
We all win because the Belt and Road Initiative is about a shared future for mankind.
Cece, any final
Oh
thought?
my gosh.
We all win. So it was absolute nonsense from the get-go.
What is this? Especially British guy. I don't know why. I'm not picking on him, but what does his friends think about this when they see this? Does he just make it a big joke?
Well, I think British people are a bit more pragmatic. They'll be like, yeah, mate.
You had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, exactly. We all have to make our money somehow. You know what I mean? You get back, you're like, you leave your work behind. It's like, let's have a pint. Let's talk about something else.
Everyone's going
Yeah, that's poor
absolutely
guy.
wild for the no winner.
Yeah, of course there's not going to be a winner. No one wins at the BRI. You all
all
lose. All the countries that participate end up having crappy infrastructure put in place, and then they have to pay it off forever. And ruins the environment too. Anyway.
Well, as the game is demonstrating, the region needs collaboration. The idea.
What region, by the way?
They're just talking shit.
What region? The region
Excuse my
needs-
language, but this is just shit.
Yeah.
This is nonsense, and they just made it all up.
Yeah.
And they
They
used the
did.
worst examples ever. Yeah, I mean,
a
obviously they
freaking
didn't.
board game.
It's in the end,
Win-win
making our world.
cooperation.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay.
my
Let's see the
gosh.
finishing touches. Let's see what they have to say.
More inclusive and more fair,
Absolutely.
That's great.
and climate change.
Well, that's a really good sentiment to end on.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us. Until next time.
That was quite the flush.
Yeah.
Potside Chats is highly regarded as a name.
It's really, really bad.
That was us. It's been a while since we found such a ridiculous show.
And there are more of them, so...
There are. They did other Potside Chats?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's more Potside Chats. I mean, I went through most of them. This is probably the stupidest one, but I mean, they have more, so don't worry. We've got more material coming up in the future. Thank you once again, China Daily, for supplying this.
For sure. China Daily. I'd like to ask China Daily, maybe you can get a response. Maybe you can call them for me.
Okay.
China Daily, what was your source for all that information?
Oh, yeah. Let's try find the source for all this BRI information.
My source is that I made it the f*** up.
Pretty much. Yeah.
We could also give a den source.
We could. See
where I can find the self-imagination. Where?
All right, fantastic. I guess it's probably time for us to...
Oh, we got a confirmation on British Man's watch. It's called Geneva brand, which is obviously Chinese.
Is it?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
$20.
Oh, okay.
So...
Well, hey, at least...
Wardrobe should have hooked him up.
Yeah,
They
I
got
know.
like all the money in the world for Xi Jinping's propaganda campaign. They couldn't give him a better watch.
Yeah, at least it's a chronograph, so dude's got a little bit of taste.
I wonder if it works. $20 chronograph.
It's entirely possible. Before we continue, guys, because we've got to get onto the more serious stuff, of course, we would like to give you a shout out from our sponsor today.
Yes.
So what's happening here?
It's not easy to remember to eat healthy or take supplements all the time. No one has time to make a schedule to take vitamins, including you and including me. To be honest, I used to be the kind of guy that would make sure I was taking my daily vitamins, but it's so much easier to use our favorite thing in the world, which is AG1 from Athletic Greens. We put our names behind it.
Yep.
That's what makes AG1 so much easier. Why would you take a bunch of different things when you could just mix with one scoop and some water? It is the healthiest thing you can do under a minute. How long does it take you?
Ding a ding a ding a ding a ding in the cup. Not long.
I think the catchphrase is the healthiest thing you can do under a minute. I'm saying under like 10 seconds.
Yeah, it depends on how quickly you can gulp down a glass of liquid.
That's very true. We're pretty good chuggers, I'd say.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's the healthiest thing you can do in under a minute, and it's so powerful that it gives you everything that you need in one serving per day.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing that one scoop of this covers all my nutritional bases, packed with 75 vitamins, minerals, and whole food source ingredients of the highest quality that give me more energy, mood support, gut health, and the whole shebang. What about you? How does it make you feel?
Better.
Definitely.
Like, seriously, I keep saying this, but I was suffering from a lot of brain fog, a lot of stress and nonsense going on in my life. And after I started taking this, it really helped me think clearer.
Yeah.
It really did help improve.
No,
that's
serious.
not nonsense.
That's serious,
Yeah.
and that's the only reason we would put our name behind it.
Correct.
If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/ADV. That sounds like adventure.
Yeah.
That's athleticgreens.com/ADV. Check it out.
Yes, thank you once again to AG1 for
ADV is us.
sponsoring
Thanks
us.
to
And
us,
thanks
too.
to us too for having this show. I appreciate it very much because I get to participate. Anyway, it's time for us to move on to Soft Power Hour, guys. That's our main segment of the show. This is where we talk about how China tries to change your mind through various means and ways. And today on Soft Power, we're talking about this interesting little trip of Xi Jinping to San Francisco.
Yes.
So you've probably all seen this in the news. It's one of those overwhelmingly overdone things in the news because it's important. So you've probably seen the fact that Xi Jinping came here. They finally cleaned the homeless problem up in San Francisco for a couple days. You know, it'll come back straight away, but they kind of cleaned it up, put gates. They put gates everywhere to prevent, I don't know, assassination attempts or something.
Right. Typical security stuff.
And Xi Jinping came in. Another thing that happened, which was very funny, is the Chinese consulate and various other groups bussed in a bunch of people to come wave the Chinese flag to
We've seen
give
that
a
with
good
other
reception. Yeah,
with other visits, like the Chinese consulate, for example, when the president of Taiwan showed up.
Yes,
when she came to New York, they had a bunch of people go protest her arrival.
Yeah,
right. And so they do that. They have to have this artificial kind of entourage of people to either show their support or show their displeasure. And that's all for optics, right? They want B-roll, footage, to basically show the Chinese populace back home.
Look how our compatriots, they love our president so much that they all came out in his support. Meanwhile, none of them would have moved their asses if they weren't paid. At least a huge portion of them.
Yes.
Anyway, let's take a look at what's actually going on. We'll played this clip right in the beginning.
Then after today, would you still refer to President Xi as a dictator? This is a term that we used earlier this year.
Well, look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is a guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours. Anyway, he makes that.
Yeah.
So I analyzed this quite a lot, right? And the whole thing is we wanted to wait until it actually happened to actually commentate on anything.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if you want like the be all and end all of this, there was no great breakthrough that happened. Now, China is spinning this as some sort of amazing diplomatic breakthrough, and now America, we're going to cooperate and the whole 9 yards. In fact, I'll show you some headlines. But really, when you get to just play this in the background, it's fine.
Okay.
When you get to the nitty gritty of this, there were some things that were talked about. For example, cutting off the drug supply trade, right? So China cooperating with the U.S. leadership on, curbing the production of fentanyl and things like that.
Isn't that just an admission that they allow it and they encourage it and do it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, no, if you cooperate with us, we'll consider like clamping down on all the fentanyl production.
Yeah.
And export.
It's like we'll stop misbehaving so much if you make concessions to us.
Yeah.
And then we'll do what we were supposed to do before.
Yeah.
We'll stop being as bad.
Yes.
That's basically how it came off, right? And here's the deal. There's all these commitments that were talked about. The line of communication was reopened, right? Remember that was all like China kind of cut that off. They're like, we're not going to talk to you anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
More or less.
Yeah.
So that was kind of brought back, right? A working level diplomatic relationship. And that's probably the biggest development that I noticed. The problem is I think a lot of what politics has devolved into is what I like to call face politics.
Sure.
And face politics is what China does. What they do in real life is completely different than what they do on paper or behind closed doors, right?
Yeah.
Their leadership, what their ultimate goal is, what they tell their people for how long, right? How many years now, is that the U.S. is the enemy. We don't get along with the U.S., right?
Yeah.
And then finally, when the U.S. realizes, wow, we've lost trillions of dollars in intellectual property, China's actually been a malicious actor this entire time, they've infiltrated the education system, there's like a laundry list of horrible things that the Chinese government has done diplomatically to the U.S. In the end, what happens is that we have these talks, and then nothing of substance comes out of it, right?
Yeah.
Except for more propaganda for China to use diplomatically, like at home, right? They can go, we've just struck a major deal with the U.S. Look at how amazing we are. We are the peace negotiators. We are this and that and this and that. And really, the way I'd like to sum it up is that you can have all the deals you want. You can have all the breakthroughs you want. You can brag. Doesn't matter what administration I'm talking about, Biden or anyone, right? You can brag all you want at the end of the day about how much things have been smoothed over, right? China or America can say this. But at the end of the day, China has not relented on the idea that it's going to take Taiwan by military force.
Sure.
And if you don't go on a stage where in the country that is vowed to protect Taiwan militarily and say that you are not going to invade, if you don't do that very basic thing, then we're on the same trajectory. You can fight the drug thing. You can sign all kinds of agreements. You can open up universities again to cooperation. You can do anything. You can do the whole laundry list of things that nice countries do to each other.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, China is ready and willing and saying that they're going to go to war with a sovereign country that we militarily have to protect, which means that we will go to war with China, right?
Yeah.
No one wants that.
Nope.
But until that's off the table, that's the same trajectory we're going in. So none of this matters, right? The ill will cannot be undone by a dinner. It cannot be undone by a visit. China's still harassing dissidents abroad. They're still silencing critics. They're still genociding Uyghurs. They're still oppressing Tibet. They're still harassing Taiwan. They're still stealing intellectual property. They're still doing all of those things. So nothing was resolved.
For sure.
So I don't understand why the media, why anyone is lauding this as some sort of major breakthrough.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, in the main sort of topic of our show today, China for the last, even, probably starting around about, I'd say 2015, around about 2016, started to really sour on America. And when I say they started to sour on America, the Chinese people were told to sour on America.
Yes.
It wasn't like that previously, right? And we know this for a fact. When did we do Conquering Northern China? It would have been 2017?
Yeah.
2017, around about. So we're in 2017 now. We went up to Harbin.
Yeah.
And we're walking there, and we came across a bunch of people. We were just waiting to go do that blind massage thing for our documentary. Yeah. And there was a group of these kind of, I don't know, thuggy-looking guys. And, they're just hanging on the side of the road. They seemed friendly. We're chatting, and they're like, where are you from? And luckily they asked me first, and I said, I'm from England, because that's the easiest way to reply in China.
Because they'll ask you why you're not black.
Yeah, if I say I'm from South Africa, the first thing is like, why aren't you black? And it's like, come on, dude, I don't want to have that conversation.
Yes.
So I said I'm from England, and the first thing they said is good, because if you said you were from America, we would have beat you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So good thing I didn't speak first.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they would have kicked our ass.
I mean,
they're huge.
The thing is, like, you would see a lot of propaganda coming out saying, and very recently too, watch out for American spies.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay. America is trying to constrain China.
Yeah.
This has been the overall message coming. Xi Jinping himself, not that long ago, said that America is trying to wall off, constrain, and prevent China from growing.
This is like the soup du jour for them at that time.
Yeah. And I mean, that was very recent. That was that wasn't long ago. And so for years now, there's been this big buildup of anti-American sentiment in China.
Yeah.
And through the official state media. It's not like it's a homegrown thing and people just decided to not like America.
It's not organic.
The people in China are so disconnected from the rest of the world, they don't give a shit because they're just involved in their own life and getting along with what they do. So they don't even interact with America.
They can't.
Yeah, it's impossible.
It's not allowed.
Yeah, it's impossible. And don't forget, the internet's so blocked, they can't even interact with American websites or anything like that. So you have a situation where the people have been told to hate America.
Yeah.
The people have been told to go online and like shit talk America and to distrust America and treat America as the enemy and to cut ties and be anti-American. So much so that remember when the pandemic broke out, people were celebrating the deaths of Americans due to the pandemic in China.
Because
Lots
when
of
you're
stuff.
told that these people in America are not human, when you dehumanize a la Hitler, to be honest, that's what the CCP does.
Yeah.
They dehumanize the people that they don't like at that moment,
Yeah.
diplomatically, and they get the people all riled up.
Yeah.
They get them pissed off. And it's so indicative to see such a 180, by the way, and I'd like to get to that right now.
Yeah.
But as you can see, there were some protests and some fights.
There was
that broke
scuffles
out.
between the pro-CCP and anti-CCP Chinese diaspora is the word.
Between there was minorities as well, from the Uyghurs to the Tibetans and stuff that were fighting. Anyway, they're
You know what I found was very telling again is there's lots of scenes and we're not going to show them because there was quite a bit of violence that broke out between the two factions. But for instance, somebody was
this is fine.
Yeah, somebody was trying to hold a whatchamacallit, like the flag for the Uyghur flag. And the
I saw the Tibetan flag. But,
there was also the Tibetan flag. But rather than let them fly their own flag, the pro-CCP guys came with the Chinese flag to constantly try to censor them, to try to block their flag all the time.
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to block the Chinese flag.
No.
But it's the pro-CCP guys are so used to censorship and having to control what people can see that they were actually trying to physically censor anyone that had a different opinion.
I think it goes beyond just like used to censorship, because when you've been told that everyone else is not, remember I said the dehumanization thing?
Yeah.
We cannot even for a minute forget that up until just like the other day, China was dehumanizing people to the point where they're telling their people that these people are not human beings.
Yeah.
They're corralling millions of Uyghurs into camps, right? And when you have that mental process, when you teach that to your people, then of course, even in America, you're going to hold up a Chinese flag. And of course, you're going to censor that person because that person's not human.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what you've been told, right? You've been told you're the dominant race of the world. Of course you're going to act arrogant, right?
Yeah,
and the
true.
state's patting you on the back when you do that.
Very true. It's
So
just
it's-
unfortunate that they can't, respect other people's freedom of speech.
Can you go back to that? I just wanted to go through a couple. This is on entertainment tonight, but I
E.T.,
But I
nice.
liked I liked the title cards that came up because this to me. So here's the deal. I wanted to sum up the part political part. Yeah, pause it here.
Okay.
From a political perspective, I think a lot of ground will be lost for these perceived wins in diplomacy. I think if we capitulate to China in any way, shape, or form because of immediate problems that will think you might win you the election cycle or whatever, right?
Yeah,
is going to detract from the things that we've made so much progress on. And one thing I will say, or a lot of things I will say, is that this administration has done a lot of amazing things, like the CHIPS Act and things like this, that have caused serious damage to the leadership of China.
Yeah, you can look past the politics, left and right, and Democrat and whatever.
Apolitical.
Yeah, just look at some of the things they've done, the achievements,
The achievements have been very clear-cut, and they have caused China to buckle under pressure. Why do you think these kind of meetings have happened?
Yeah, why do you think Xi Jinping is here right now?
Why do you think they're buying American soybeans? Yeah. Why do you think all of this stuff happened, right?
Yeah.
They're buckling under pressure, but the problem is if you write off those wins, right? And you say, okay, now going forward, we're going to have a new relationship where we're more friendly and we'll capitulate to this and that and this and that. Then I think so much ground is lost on that progress. But you know what? As much as people can get down on the administration or the politics of the situation, I think the real problem are the corporate elites behind this whole thing, not behind the political leadership. These people that are courting Xi Jinping, the people that are courting the Chinese government and rushing to the door to this APEC summit.
Yeah, paying money to go shake hands with Xi Jinping.
Try to get back in that Chinese market, as if nothing has happened at all.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And so like this, the only reason I put this Entertainment Tonight thing on is because it has these cards that show how many people were just rushing in.
Okay, so I'll get us out of here. Yeah,
Elon Musk, these people that represent huge swaths of the American economy.
Yeah.
Begging and pleading to be allowed back into China or to further their
yeah, because Elon Musk's in China a lot with his Tesla factories, his gigafactories and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so detrimental to the free speech of Twitter that he took it over, is because he cannot allow harsh criticism of the Chinese government on his platform.
They removed government labels for government officials on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly.
Or X or whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah, exactly. Ex-Twitter. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, it's very disappointing, to be honest.
And you had all kinds of people, right? You had freaking just diplomats. You had people just clamoring to get a piece of that, like investment bankers, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Look at these people that are just raring to go. I love you, Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
This is fantastic. I can't wait to do business again.
Yeah, Schwarzman,
Blackstone.
Why is his surname is like Black Man,
but it's
Black Man, but he runs Blackstone. Yeah,
that's
interesting. Do you think he made it because of his name?
I don't think so.
I got the stones.
I don't know if he made it. Anyway, you had business leaders.
Yeah.
You had people running the gamut on this whole thing that are just like, well, now that there's been an official delegation allowed into America, there's no bad optics about meeting these people now.
Sure.
There's no bad optics.
Yeah.
If you did this on your own volition, people would be like, why are you doing this in this, height of tension between the US and China?
Yeah, hey, it's Trudeau.
Yeah, of course. It's true. It's true, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, you can go on and on and on about this. I wanted to run my mouth a little bit about that because I think that a lot of people will be short-sighted in this and try to point fingers at specific people. But I think this is just a floodgate of making concessions to China and maybe potentially writing off all the progress we've made in not combating, but standing up to oppression.
Yeah, standing up to being steamrolled. That's the thing. China's been steamrolling the rest of the world, making promises and just willfully breaking them, not sticking to anything, being detrimental to the environment, outfishing the seas, doing all this rubbish stuff to the environment with, all the pollution that they release, but also stealing intellectual property, corporate espionage, hacking against all governments around the world, hostage diplomacy, setting up police stations overseas illegally. The list goes on. Yeah, the list goes on. All these terrible things that China's been doing. No, it just continues. And the thing is, they had to do so many bad things before the world actually, including releasing the pandemic, irresponsibly reacting to the release of the pandemic. It got to a point where the world is finally like, okay, maybe we should stop them from just being able to do everything they want.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But it took that much,
Yes.
And now they're trying to make good and be like, oh, no, we can be friends again. It's not correct.
Yes. Now to I want to undramatize this.
Yeah.
I do want to conclude, and just so you don't read me wrong, I want to conclude that I don't think anything of material substance actually occurred.
No, I don't think so
I
either.
don't think anything was reversed yet. I'm just scared that potentially that is on the table to try to, fix some wounds, whether it be the drug crisis, something like this. But at the end of the day, I don't think anything was was very successful in negotiations.
Here's the crux, okay? This is the main topic of our show, is how the Chinese people have been forced
They're confused.
to suddenly be USA friendly.
They're so confused because I want to show the headlines here.
Yeah.
I took 3 of the top Chinese media headlines, okay? Just scroll through.
Okay, I'll get... Yeah, this is so boring. Imagine paying money to go listen to, pork mutterings. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's just keep moving.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's look at these newspaper headlines.
Let's take a look at the newspaper headlines, right?
The internet version of newspaper headlines. If you went to China Daily, CGTN, or Xinhua, and you went to the front page, of course, you'll be inundated with Xi Jinping quotes and all this propaganda.
Yeah,
and you still are. And you still are.
Xi's moments. Xi Biden tackles it. Xi's moments. Xi Japan meets Japan. Opinion. Xi Biden meeting. What else have we got to? What other Xis do we have? We got lots of Xis.
So
yeah,
that's not changed. But you know what's a key element that's changed? In every front page or headline that you would ever pull up from these publications, it would be chock full of anti-Americanism.
Oh, 100%.
And they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. It's all cooperation.
You know what? The shills have also stopped.
Yes.
Like you would, if you looked at any CCP shills account, it would always be like a picture of a worried Biden or something, like America failed, it's over, blah, blah, blah. That kind of nonsense. And that they've stopped that. They've obviously been given a mandate.
It's pretty funny
like, hey,
that you'll see the, pro-CCP shills that work for the Chinese government.
Still can't get over the Xi in my eyes.
I know.
It's like, come on, dude.
Get the Xi out of my eyes.
I know. Oh, no, it's Xi in my eyes, yeah.
But it's funny, like the shills, the propaganda board across the board, it's funny. You can actually feel a palpable shift.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, they think that they're independent journalists. They masquerade in their head. But what they are is just, lackeys for the...
They have to just follow what they're told. Yeah, right? They have to follow what they're told.
So independent journalists continue and go on and get to form and develop their own opinions about things. And then they have to turned off all this hatred. They go, you got to talk shit about America for a year. And they do all these hate America videos. And they're like, stop, don't do it anymore.
Yeah, don't do it anymore. Yeah, isn't it crazy?
It's so funny.
Again, though, I have to point out the absurdity of these websites, and these news organizations.
Yeah.
That the majority of what they report on is one man.
Yeah.
Again.
It's scary.
Okay.
It didn't used to be like that either.
Okay, let's look at the stuff on the side. Xi reiterates opposition to blah, 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 and then there's a whole thing. Then underneath, Chinese President Xi, blah, blah, blah. That's a completely different article. Underneath that, Xi, blah, 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 blah. And then something about the APEC thing.
I didn't search Xi, by the way.
No, this is the front page.
Reddit screenshot of the front page of Xinhua, right?
Xi in my eyes, underneath. Xi stresses role.
Sounds so derogatory.
Yeah, special report. Xi attends China. For F's sake, enough about this one man. He's not that special. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. And so, yeah, he is a dictator, by the way.
110%.
Yes. Of course he is.
110%.
Yeah, of course he is.
But look at this.
Okay.
When is the last time, Winston, have you seen China-U.S. people-to-people exchanges event held in San Francisco? Have you ever seen something like that on the front page?
No, never.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny how they just go like this when they want something.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, now people who've been reading day in and day out, and you should have probably gotten some older headlines to show.
We can.
But anyway, if you look at the front page news, pretty much for the past few years, it's always had something negative about America. Talking about gun violence or homelessness,
or anything,
or some shit talking about America. Like no joke.
Yeah.
On every front page. All of a sudden, there's none of that. Now it's like we have to be friendly. And it's actually confused a lot of people, especially the online nationalists.
Yes.
Do you have some examples?
I'll read some of this stuff.
Okay,
it's actually really fascinating.
Okay.
Because it shows you how little they care about their own citizens.
Yes.
With the propaganda apparatus in China serves the party, right? It doesn't serve, they don't care. You might think that, a dictatorship, at least they'll have some silver linings, right? At least they can do stuff for the people or something, right?
Sure.
But it's not the case because some people on the Chinese internet were joking that all of these anti-America war dramas that they've been pumping out, usually it's anti-Japan, they've been doing tons of anti-America war dramas, as we saw in some certain clips.
Yes.
I think you might have something
you think
on
so?
the soundboard. Something about a choice.
Oh, yes.
This is our best choice.
Yes.
They've had a lot of anti-America war dramas.
Dude, especially they released that blockbuster about the Korean War.
Yeah.
What was that? The Battle of Lake something or other. And I think that was really the turning point for a lot of anti-American sentiment in China, because this big blockbuster was about how bad the American soldiers were and the sacrifice of the brave Chinese soldiers.
And they put that out for a reason.
Yeah, and they were like, they wiped
propaganda.
out all the Americans, and a lot of factual misrepresentations there. And then after that, like you said, every single day on Chinese TV, you've got these like this type of thing. Okay, if that's representative. You got these revolutionary fantasies, which is about how China, during the War of the Revolution thing, when Japan was occupying China.
Yeah.
How little groups of Chinese peasants and stuff somehow overthrew the entire Japanese army and killed all the Japanese soldiers and stuff. It's all fantasy and lies, because they had nothing to do with defeating the Japanese. No. The Communist Party specifically had nothing to do with that. It was the rest of the world did it, including the nationalists.
The old men watch it and punch the air.
Yes, exactly.
So the joke on the internet is that they're going to have to shelve all those anti-American Korean
I was
war
leading
dramas.
up to that, is that they have all these anti-Japanese dramas, but they've started to make anti-American dramas too.
A lot.
Based on the Korean War.
A
lot of those. So the joke is like, oh no, what's going to happen to all this stuff that's been in production?
You know what's going to be one to watch is a certain Chinese woman presenter that I won't name because I don't want to drive traffic over there.
Sure.
It'll be interesting because her whole brand
is anti-America.
The entire brand is anti-America. They created her for that brand.
Oh yeah, it'd be interesting to see.
It'd be interesting to watch that.
She's part of the Xi delegation, by the way.
What?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, seriously.
Oh my.
She's in San Francisco, part of this.
Wow.
Yeah, so we'll see.
What an insane upgrade. She must have really performed on the numbers,
Yeah, exactly.
Getting those views up.
So what else did Chinese internet users say?
There was a popular meme that was going around purported to, and obviously I think it's been pulled, but the Communist Party mouthpiece, the People's Daily, promising legal repercussions for anyone who sought to derail U.S.-China relations.
We've actually seen this,
Yes.
though. Occasionally things go a little bit overboard. And when somebody creates an incident that goes viral in China that shows China in a very bad light, with regards to America, they do get arrested.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's unfair because the Chinese government encourages this kind of vitriol towards America. They encourage it big time. But then if someone takes it a bit too far, then they get arrested.
It's pretty insane, by the way. I was just thinking about the hypocrisy of this. You're talking about certain people on the delegation.
Yeah.
These journalists or whatever can literally make their entire career disparaging, lying, completely defaming America and Americans.
Yes.
Right? And then be invited to come over and hang out and do everything
in
they
America.
want. But if you do the same thing about China, except you tell the truth, you just tell the truth. Yes, we found the coordinates of a camp in Xinjiang. You're never going to China.
No, and
Isn't that insane?
If you try, they'll arrest you.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be disappeared or deported. It's shocking how. Do you see how imbalanced that is?
Oh yeah, it's very hypocritical.
What agreements are we signing here? You know what I mean? There's no agreement.
No,
we're dealing with a dictatorship.
China only takes and never gives.
Yeah.
That's something you have to realize. If you look at any of the agreements they've done, Hong Kong agreement, agreed to not militarize the South China Sea, all this other nonsense, they are willing to take all the benefits of an agreement, but they never.
Spot
give
on.
back.
Spot on.
It's always like that.
There's another thing here.
Yeah, what else?
There was they were showing state media editorials promoting U.S.-China relations.
Yes.
So all these we're getting along now, that kind of stuff. This is a commenter.
Okay.
In English, it translates to, so going forward, do we or don't we need to hate America? So unclear.
Yes, exactly.
And you can see what whiplash that would be. Imagine 2 weeks ago, you're told that America is the end of the world. They suck. They're dying. They have all these imagery of the crumbling empire and the Statue of Liberty's burning, all these AI images that state puts out.
Exactly, yeah.
They have these people, they have journalists from China flying over to the U.S. to go film homeless people or drug addicts and stuff.
Yep.
And they're like, America's effed and we are better, right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, it might even be illegal for you to criticize America-China relations.
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah.
Because they don't give a shit about their people, dude.
No, it's all about what they can gain right now.
Yeah.
And they know that if they play nice right now, that, they can do these diplomatic little agreements and everyone's going to play happy for a bit. And then behind the scenes, they can still keep taking and not giving,
Yeah.
So
anyway, that's kind of the be-all and end-all of that. We
Cool.
got some more stories coming up, though.
We're now going to move on to the next part of the show, which is, of course, the Wumao Corner, where we talk about the haters and what they're up to. And what do we have? This title screen's way too long, by the way. What do we have on the cards today?
This is a promo for our friend of the show.
Oh, we got a promo, do we?
Yes.
Okay, let's
Just
play
to give
it.
you an update on the chip war. You know, not Doritos. We're talking about the computer chips, the ones that China's been cut off from, but needs so very badly. Well, our friend of the show, Jordan Harbinger, actually did a fantastic interview with a guy named Chris Miller, who talked about these semiconductors, known as semis or chips, that are the essential components to thousands of products, and how China, despite having invested heavily in their own semiconductor technology, is always playing catch up with the rapid pace of Western-influenced technological advancement, and what underhanded steps China's been taking to slow this pace to its advantage. With the recently passed CHIPS and Science Act will likely mean for the semiconductor research and manufacturing jobs in the US, it's a fantastic sum up of the entire topic, so I highly recommend you go check out jordanharbinger.com/919 for that episode. It's completely free. And also subscribe to Jordan's YouTube channel and tell him the China Show sent you. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to show, because people last time we shouted out Jordan,
Yeah.
they want to know what episodes we were.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you go to jordanharbinger.com/763 and a separate
737.
one, jordanharbinger.com/737, then you'll see the episodes that we did with his show.
You know when you said semiconductors, also known as semis?
Yeah.
Since
Stop.
when?
Stop.
Since when are they, that's like a truck.
Well, that too.
I've never heard a semiconductor being called a semi. Hey, we're developing a couple of semis over
Why
here.
can't you let me slip in a little?
It's just nonsense.
No.
I mean,
Chips, you know what
yes.
you're doing? You're taking this too seriously.
No, but chips, yes. But not semis. It's like, we're developing a couple
Did you
semis.
understand? There's a joke there. I said not the Doritos, and I said
Yes.
made a sense. I'm trying to make a little colloquialism.
Okay,
some fun,
all right.
fun
Well,
little hints.
Just don't miseducate people, because they'll be going around like, yeah, my computer's got some semis in it. It's like, what?
Hopefully you don't have a semi about chips.
No, I don't.
I don't
Definitely
know.
not.
YouTube channel and tell him that.
Anyway, you get the idea.
Yeah. So, go check out Jordan Harbinger. I think he still makes horrible thumbnails, though. We haven't
On
seen
his YouTube channel.
Yes.
I don't think he still makes them, but he definitely has a back catalog of some of the worst
If he hasn't
thumbnails
fixed
we've
them
ever
yet,
seen.
next time we promote him, he's getting the treatment. He's getting the treatment. Yeah.
We have an ongoing beef where we make him look bad because he made us look so
No, we
bad.
always make him look good, but then
I'm saying now, and we forgot to do it this time. Well, because I actually forgot to check.
Maybe he's changed it.
Maybe because I usually listen to his show.
Okay.
But his YouTube channel, go check it out and subscribe and tell him the China Show sent you.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so what's this all about? You put this together. What's this?
So this is IPVM, which is the Authority on Physical Security Technology. Basically, they talk about video surveillance, all that kind of news, right? It's kind of like a research thing.
like a think tank type
I guess it's kind of like a research institute, right? They talk about weapons detection, all the stuff that cameras detecting stuff, basically, right? So you would definitely think they're an authority on a certain topic, which we talked about last show.
Yeah, Hikvision.
Hikvision, which is basically binoculars you put on. And
when you're looking for deer, gotta shoot the deer.
Drinking a Yingling in the woods. And you're like, there it is.
Yeah, Hikvision.
Anyway, Hikvision's actually a Chinese surveillance camera company.
Yes, which is installed in very important buildings around the world and many governments, because it's like the cheapest good camera that you can get for CCTV.
It comes with a lot of issues, though.
Yes.
You save a lot of money, but you certainly don't save on privacy, because last episode...
It's the first one's free. Don't pay.
You
know what I mean? Yeah.
The last episode, we had uncovered that the Hikvision cameras had the ability to use an algorithm to figure out if a person in China was an ethnic minority or not. And you would obviously can deduct why they want to know that, right?
Yeah.
When they were getting all the Uyghurs kind of together and putting them into camps, it's a lot easier to pick someone out of a crowd. If you got a Hikvision camera that's like, beep, 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 Uyghur, right? Now it gets so much worse than that.
Yeah.
This group actually reached out and sent this article which I highly recommend you open up. It's in the description.
Yeah.
And I'd like to go through this. Hikvision won a PRC, it's a Chinese government. Smart campus system that alerts when ethnic minority students are suspected of fasting for Ramadan. So they're putting these cameras up to make sure students aren't fasting because they don't want them to be practicing Muslims.
So they won this project, okay?
Yes.
But it says that Hikvision responded by admitting it won the project, but alleging without evidence that these alerts were never actually developed or deployed.
That's why you need to continue.
Yeah.
Continue.
Okay. All right, I'll continue.
So
they won the project. So that's like winning a tender. It's like you're told, hey, we need someone to develop a system that can spy on the students, basically, and tell us if they're practicing Ramadan.
Yes. So it's interesting that they kind of deny it, right? Well, that's where this research group comes in, because what they've uncovered are the details in the book that details how this works. Right?
Okay.
What does it say? The application categorizes ethnic minority students and the setting of fasting months. School management teachers can look into the daily behaviors of ethnic minority students, including the record of fasting months, whether they take on any student official roles, and their process of applying for Communist Party membership, their usage of their passports, vacations, whereabouts during holidays, what books they borrow from libraries, the dining records on campus, participation in student activities, grades, and information about their family members.
Yeah.
There's more.
Oh, there's more to this?
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
So IPVM also uncovered this. It says you can read it.
Okay. The system will automatically send an alert on students suspected of fasting during the fasting month based on dining records of such students, adding that administrators can verify in person to clarify the situation.
So it alerts them.
It's like fasting month alerts, yeah.
Yes,
Automatically send an alert on a list of students who are suspected of fasting during the fasting months.
Keep it up.
Dining records, yeah. That's kind of crappy, to be honest. The project uses the same term used by the PRC government to refer to PRC minorities.
So they has Minzu, so that's how they can kind
like
of make,
Minzu,
they can make it like they can line it up.
Yeah, fasting month alerts for minority students. The surveillance system requires fasting alerts for ethnic minority students. So it says the application displays the demographic distribution of ethnic minority students and the fasting alert situation of ethnic minority students across schools and departments. Okay? Yeah. Usual type spying nonsense. The project's full 600-plus page tender, which was attached to the results announcement, requires extensive surveillance of ethnic minority students via the creation of a system called Assisted Analysis of Ethnic Minority Students to support administrators' decision-making.
So this is the whole tender was uncovered, basically. I don't think they wanted that uncovered.
No.
This IPVM report is very exhaustive, by the way. I highly recommend. If you're interested in this, go check it out. But it's just so many times this has been proven, and the Chinese government keeps trying to escape this, that there was no nefarious intent, that they don't profile people, that it's nonsense, that they support religious identities and all this kind of stuff. And they've proven time and time again that they are not only funding these kind of projects to make sure they can profile and put people away, but also continue to do so and awarding awards and tenders to companies to do that for them.
And look, anecdotally, I've been in situations where I had some Chinese policeman friends, and we all went out drinking. I was in a small town, and they told me straight to my face that they monitor the foreigners, right? But that they monitor the black foreigners more. And they specifically follow around and know exactly, like 24 hours a day, where the black foreigners are. There's only a few in that small city. But they definitely profile people, 100% and unabashedly. They brag about doing it. So this doesn't surprise me.
It doesn't, but at the same time, it does because of how much bad press the Chinese government's tried to avoid because of the whole genocide thing.
Yeah.
And when this kind of stuff comes out, it's just more salt in the wound, right?
Yeah.
They are trying to hide this stuff. They're actively trying to shut this kind of stuff down, this press.
It's true. So anyway. Let's move on to this biolab. Is this world news or is this still Wumao Corner?
This is Wumao Corner still.
Okay, all right. For those of you who don't know, they uncovered a lab in California where they had like COVID mice and stuff running around.
We'll read the report. What I wanted to highlight is there's something called the Select Committee on the CCP. It's pretty fascinating. You remember earlier we were talking about, like, everyone's always like, the Republicans are harder on China, the Democrats are harder on China. They always battle it out.
Sure.
We don't need that kind of division in the U.S. What we need is something like this, the Select Committee on the CCP, which is bipartisan.
Yeah.
It has members of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party that say, hey, maybe we disagree on a lot of stuff, but we can certainly get behind the fact that there is a massively powerful dictatorship trying to ruin our country.
Sure.
And it is a fantastic partnership that I like to see.
Yeah.
Right? Now, they ran an investigation on this lab, right?
Yeah.
Remember that whole gross
Yeah, they
lab?
uncovered this very badly
Just go through
cobbled
it, yeah.
together lab, right?
It's actually right there. You
Oh, it
can
is.
see, yeah.
Okay.
But this is what
And it was in a building that was supposed to be abandoned or something, right?
Yes, this happened over in Reedley, California. And what happened was when they went in there, it looked like some clandestine weird thing.
Yeah.
And so we weren't like avoiding the topic. We brought it up a little bit.
Oh, we
but
covered it.
There wasn't enough information to go off of what the actual aims were. So the investigation is finished, and I think the Chinese government's probably not going to like that people are doing this in the select committee because this looks bad. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So you had all these people on the committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
Says Reedley officials, Jeslyn Harper and Nicole Zaba joined the event remotely, sharing their experiences firsthand knowledge of the discovery of the biolab in 2022. So this was last year. And the lack of the CDC response, which prompted the select committee to issue a subpoena and launch a bipartisan investigation. So the CDC refused to investigate this. I guess they didn't think it was important or whatever.
All right.
And then so they discussed the national security and public health risks operating on illegally on U.S. soil. So
a biolab operating illegally on U.S. soil.
Let's look at what they found.
Okay, what did they find?
Well, let's rattle it off. This is shocking.
Okay. So remember, this was a biolab operating in California in like a supposedly abandoned warehouse by, Chinese people.
Well, read it.
So this is what they found. The illegal biolab was run by a PRC citizen who is a wanted fugitive from Canada with a 330 million Canadian dollar judgment against him for stealing American intellectual property. Okay, so that's a bit of a red flag. This PRC citizen was a top official at a PRC state-controlled company and had links to military-civil fusion entities.
Are you getting chills yet?
Yeah, I mean,
this is like, it's not at all what was being portrayed as.
No, remember, they were just like, oh, it's just a little thing, like maybe some guys trying to make a buck or something.
Yeah.
The illegal biolab received millions of dollars in unexplained payments from PRC banks while running the illegal biolab. So money was being sent from mainland China, millions of dollars to this biolab.
So this shitty little biolab in California that no one knew about, right, was being funded by China, right?
Yes.
To the tune of millions of dollars.
Millions
right?
of dollars by a guy who was a fugitive.
But what?
Military fusion.
Okay. Military, civil fusion, all that kind of stuff. That's scary as hell, right?
Yeah.
But what were they actually doing?
Well, the illegal biolab contained thousands of samples of labeled, unlabeled, and encoded potential pathogens, including HIV, malaria, tuberculosis, and COVID. The illegal biolab also contained a freezer labeled Ebola, which contained unlabeled, sealed silver bags consistent with how the lab stored high-risk biological materials. Ebola is a secret agent. Select agent. Here, it's not a secret. It's pretty well known. It's a select agent with a lethality rate between 25 to 90%. The biolab contained nearly 1,000 transgenic mice genetically engineered to mimic the human immune system. Lab workers said that the mice were designed to catch and carry the COVID-19 virus. After local officials who discovered the lab sought help from the CDC and others, the CDC refused to test any of the samples.
Yikes. So do whatever you want with that information, but this select committee has pulled off an investigation that has sent people reeling. Like, people are shocked to the core, and as they should be. This is real bad.
Well, okay, just to paint a clear picture for everyone out there, because we looked at pictures of the lab. It was literally a little abandoned warehouse-looking thing, very badly put together, which had these very contagious and horrible diseases and pathogens stored there in like a terrible condition, right? And tons of random mice that are, COVID mice. So they've been those, whatever you call them, chimera mice, which are supposed to have human DNA that you can basically infect them with COVID and other pathogens. That's how they do it to test, what happens when a person gets infected. But the fact that this very dangerous biolab was being operated illegally in California by a Chinese fugitive from Canada, which is kind of bizarre, and being funded by China, millions and millions of dollars, is very worrying.
Especially with the civil-military fusion, which I've covered extensively on my channel.
Yeah, which is where the Chinese government basically, they say they're developing something that can have dual use. It can be used for the civilian, but also for military purposes.
Try to help me understand how that's not the most insane thing ever. Because why are we having diplomatic meetings with a country that's doing this in our own country?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand either.
Something's broken.
They're allowed to get away with this, and they'll say like, oh, it's just a private citizen or something.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a freaking fugitive that's getting money directly from China.
Yeah.
And the potentials for this kind of thing are just, you never know. Because if they've got all these horrible pathogens there, they could release that into the public very easily. They could infect the mice and drop them off places, you know?
No, I mean, that's hypothetical.
They could do it. It could just leak.
Already what happened is already bad enough.
You know what's really interesting is the fact that the CDC refused to test any
That's
samples.
something we need clarification on, and I hope they make a statement about that. And that's I don't want to speculate. Again, we don't speculate, right? What I do want to speculate, I don't want to speculate on is use this. I want to look at these details, and I can say this is really bad.
It's incredibly bad.
Really bad.
There should be front page news around the country, but as usual, this kind of thing gets buried down deep, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah, we'll move on from that rather important thing to worldview.
Yes.
Where we talk about everything in the world, specifically with regards to China. And before we jump into that, remember we have a show on Monday, a VIP show, and if you didn't see it, this is what you missed. It's Saturday night, almost midnight. You drift off to sleep, and someone starts a jackhammer outside your window. Are you sure you don't want to hear?
Suffer this again. I hear this every freaking week. So I had it.
Oi! 你知道是几点吗 Siri, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay.
10分钟，现在开始。
Yeah, and I showed them. I'm like, you got 10 minutes.
Patui.
A big jar, and I just went out and I filled their shoes up with this stuff.
Plainest day manner in front of me, and she says, I thought foreigners were supposed to be handsome. And I punched him, and then I told him, you're not going to show up around here again.
I'm pretty it's like, fun. What are you doing? Yeah, so...
I didn't punch anyone, by the way.
No,
that was taken out of context.
Yeah, that was very much taken out of context. If you're interested in checking out the show, please head over to patreon.com/ADV podcasts and join the Shaban Ho tier. If, of course, you have the means, we'd love to see you there.
It's a whole nother show on every Monday. It's the best way to support us, and you get a whole nother show and access to all the back catalog of every episode we've ever done. It's the stuff we can't talk about on YouTube, and it's the most fun we have all week. Join us there, please.
Yeah, please do. So you've put this part together for Worldview. So what are we looking at here?
So something interesting has been happening in Southeast Asia.
Right.
And that is in the country of Myanmar, formerly known as Burma. Right?
Burma, yeah.
Now, this is really relevant to what we're talking about because both you and I have covered the Shah Zupan scam for a while
now. The pig butchering scam.
And you can explain what that is, basically.
Well, if you ever, I still get them daily. You get text messages to say, hey, John, forgot to tell you something or other. And you're like, but I'm not John. They're like, oh, well, since we're talking anyway.
You become friends.
Or like I got one the other day, which is said, what do you have planned for our dinner date later on? You know, they come up with all sorts of nonsense just to get you on the line. And then it's like, oh, sorry, wrong number. But, let's be friends type thing. And eventually it leads to a crypto scam where they scam you out of money. But it's all about building a relationship over a long period of time, getting you to trust them, and then they take your money and then run.
But it's not just a victim crime, like where the victim is on the other end. The victim is oftentimes sending those messages.
Yeah, it's like slaves, basically.
It's run by criminal gangs in Burma, Myanmar, right? And it's also run in Cambodia and all these other Southeast Asian countries. And what they do is they promise people work abroad.
From China. So people come from China to there.
Right. And what happens is they end up being slaves, sometimes killed, sometimes disappear. They're not able to escape. They're beaten, tortured, all this horrible stuff.
Yeah, they're forced to scam, basically.
Yeah, forced to scam. And they also end up scamming people in China, which in turn sometimes are CCP officials, Chinese government officials. That's a bad move. And that's what gets the Chinese government's attention.
Yeah, because they don't care.
They don't.
You can scam foreigners all you want, but you're not allowed to scam Chinese people.
So this is a dual-purpose story because what happened is, in Myanmar, it was a functioning democracy that actually finally got democratic rights, right? But then the military junta took over and couped the whole place out, right? Now, who do you think would love a violent military coup?
The CCP.
Oh, of course. I mean, let's be honest. They're cut from the same cloth,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
So this military junta comes out and China goes, we unabashedly support. I mean, this is the country that supported the Taliban, like the first one that supported the Taliban.
They
right?
supported the Khmer Rouge, you know. That's why they went to war with Vietnam that most people don't know about.
The worse, the better.
Yeah, they literally invaded Vietnam because Vietnam was going to go stop Pol Pot and his madness.
And China was like, don't you dare.
Don't you dare go and stop Pol Pot. Yeah,
murder and
exactly.
genocide.
And they went and then they got their asses kicked.
Yes. So long story short, Myanmar goes to this junta and then China's like, okay, this is great. We can influence this type of government, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is the junta starts funding these criminal enterprises and then China's like, shit, what do we do?
Yeah.
Now, Myanmar, Burma's always had these kind of splinter groups that want democracy, right? They're usually run by ethnic minorities. Just like China, Burma's full of ethnic minorities that don't think of themselves as Burmese, right?
Sure.
So they want their own states, they want their own areas, they want their own rights, right? The interesting part of this is when you dive into it, China's been a colonialist invasion power for a long time now.
Yeah, they are.
In fact, this here is the Wa state, and you can
Okay.
see these green dots on Burma, which is a big country, right?
Sure.
These two states in Burma, they use Chinese language now. They trade in the RMB and the yuan.
Yeah.
They're basically de facto under Chinese borders.
Yeah.
They use the China Union Pay. They use all the Chinese. They use China.
It's like mini colonies, basically.
It's mini colonies. They have a passport that's kind of synonymous with the PRC government.
Sure.
They've stolen whole areas and a people group.
Yeah.
And commandeered them as their own. It's shocking because you hear about like the colonials past of England or America and stuff. We'd like to talk about the colonial present of the PRC.
I think the only country currently in the world that's actually doing like modern day colonialism is China.
Yeah, absolutely. So the funny thing is the Wa state has already been had. I mean, that is Chinese territory at this point, right?
Sure.
But now China's pissed off at the junta government, which controls the rest of Burma, right? So in these other border regions, if you look kind of near where China is, what they've been doing is it looks like it's tantamount to a bit of support for the fringe groups, the pro-democracy groups now that want the junta to step down, to get rid of them, right? Because it's a civil war, right?
Yeah.
They want this guy, they want his government, his junta government to leave, right?
Right.
And not to bring back the old democratic government, but to give more power to these fringe groups that kind of destabilize that, right? And why? It's weird because these groups definitely wouldn't have been sympathetic to China in the past. They're more in line with U.S. support. The U.S. supports these kind of groups, right? They want an end to barbarism and dictatorships. Go to the next slide. Because we watched Myanmar go from a country that was becoming a democracy down to 10 out of 100. China's a 9 out of 100 on the Freedom House. It's bad now. It's military dictatorship.
Sure.
So China is now looks like they're funding these fringe groups on the border to stop and punish the junta for the criminal Shajupan, the pig butchering scam enterprises. At the same time, when all is said and done, perhaps achieve more land.
Sure.
Achieve more land because you can probably persuade a poor militant group if you fund them and you have sway in the area, especially if it's on the Chinese border, a lot more than you can an entire government.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think people were asking me to analyze this a little bit because there's not a lot of people talking about how much land has been lost by the junta in the Civil War. I think China will come out on top either way, like no matter who they support. And that's how you have to look at China. It's like an opportunistic colonialist power.
Yeah.
They want new land and territory and spheres of influence, and they've already achieved it.
Yeah.
And I don't know why people don't use China as the example, like especially these people that always get down on other countries about their imperialism and all this kind of stuff. Why are you not talking about China's current imperialism? Do those people in Asia don't matter to you?
Obviously not. It's not
university
important to them,
students that go and say like China's the future, down with imperialist America and stuff. Why are we not criticizing the Chinese government for current imperialism?
Well, it's because the Chinese government has successfully convinced a lot of people that China's never invaded or attacked or, started any conflicts or whatever. It's actually not true at all. I made a video about it. Never mind invading the Soviet Union. They had a brief little war.
Yeah.
And, of course, Vietnam in the 70s, but also India. And they currently have a big skirmish with India right now.
Right.
But taking over the whole of the South China Sea, all of this BRI nonsense that we talked about, this neo-colonialism nonsense in Africa and around the world, it's obviously not true.
No.
They definitely are doing lots of meddling.
It's right out there.
Anyway.
Right out there. Remember when they sent weapons via Kunming Airport in Yunnan and they turned their transponders off?
Yes.
I mean, they're doing this, guys.
They do all sorts of things, yeah.
It's dumb.
It's absolutely dumb. Anyway, guys, it's time for us to move on to the final part of our show today, of course, which is our Yamcha segment. This is our Q&A where we answer your questions and you question our answers. Now, of course, we leave this up on the weekend and you can watch it live. Monday, we cut it out of the show. But if you are a patron of any level, you can still watch the full thing with the Q&A anytime you want, and any of the previous ones too. And you can be a part of the Discord server.
That's right.